we're told. The reporter even joked that the bird just wanted a hug.
Or has terrible eyesight and did not see that he was running into a human being.
And then gave her terrible eyesight.
Jeez. Glad she's okay.
Yeah, that's it for us tonight. We'll see you back here at 10.
Have a safe night. Extra starts right now.
Hello, 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 everybody, and good evening to you. What a gorgeous shot of Lower Manhattan. It almost looks like it's not absolutely freezing cold outside, but we know that's not the case. 7:02 on this Friday night, December the 8th. Hey, hi. That's from our backwards camera. We have Brian and Jonah tag teaming on the board tonight. One's handling the music, one's handling the video. Who's responsible for the music tonight?
Oh, I can do everything.
Brian does everything. Of course he does. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. Man, there's been a lot of news today, so we're going to tell you some of your headlines, and then we're going to dig into some of the top stories of the day. These are ones that you may or may not have been following while you were at work today, so we're going to get you everything that you need to know. Let's first start off with a couple quick headlines. Let's start off with Luigi Mangione. You might remember last week, court was canceled on Friday because he was apparently sick with what we don't know, but he was not in court. And so they were back in court today. And today, as we understand it, they had some of the police officers from Pennsylvania who helped arrest Mangione outside, around this McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. And so they were on the stand today talking about the backpack. We've heard so much about this backpack, and we're going to dig into this a little bit later with Peter Frankel. He is going to talk to us about what he heard during this pretrial evidence suppression hearing, what this means for Mangione and his team, what they're trying to let in, keep out, and how this thing could all play out. So that's one of the really big stories. There's a lot to talk about there. The other thing is one that affects everybody, everywhere, and that happens to be the cold. It doesn't matter where you were, inside, outside of the city. You probably looked like, well, I didn't look like that because I didn't do any exercise today. But for the rest of us, we were bundled up in 25 layers with our hats and our gloves and our hand warmers, just getting it from, A to B as fast as we possibly could. I always feel so bad. Brian, do you feel bad for the babies in the carrier? Oh, look at that one. She's so cute. Don't you feel bad for the babies in the carriers who are all bundled up? They must be thinking to themselves, like, how did I get stuck in this mess? Like, look how that poor little girl. Really, but we're all suffering right along there with her. And we're in the midst of a cold snap, and it's just going to get worse. We're going to have your forecast. Nick's coming up in just a little while. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about today happens to be this subway switcheroo that is affecting huge swaths of Queens. So the F and the M lines are going to switch on today, and this is something that will affect strap hangers on both lines. So from what we understand, he said this, the head of the MTA said this switch is going to speed up service on the Queens Boulevard line. That's the E, F, M, and R, and reduce crowding on trains that go through two other stations serviced by the F line. That's 21st Street, Queensbridge, as well as Roosevelt Island. So that's impacting a lot of people, especially, we get so in the zone. We know what subway we have to be on at what time. If we've missed that one, we know how to do the workaround. But now we're switching everybody's commutes up if you take these two lines, and so that has the potential to make you late for a lot of things, including work. And lastly, before we get to the top story, which we said was Luigi Mangione, a big day in history. John Lennon shot and killed 45 years ago today. As you know, he was shot outside of his Manhattan apartment, Upper West Side Manhattan apartment building, the Dakota, on December 8th, 1980. He was just 40 years old. The man who killed him, Mark David Chapman, still behind bars, keeps trying for parole, keeps getting denied. I don't need to tell you about John Lennon. You know everything about him. You know what an inspiration he is to so many, what an icon he was, the incredible musician that he was. Do we have any Beatles music? Are we allowed to use that?
I doubt it.
Nah, we definitely can't pay for that. Well, if we wanted to, you just sing it, imagine in your head, or sing a song in your head. But yeah, a very, very big day in history. And a lot of people gathered in Central Park by Strawberry Fields to honor Lennon and to remember him, just to celebrate his memory. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we are going to talk to Peter Frankel about all the developments that occurred in the Luigi Mangione murder pretrial suppression hearing today. Stay with us. Hello, everybody. 7:08 on this Friday evening. A beautiful shot of the Brooklyn Bridge. That is the Brooklyn Bridge, right? Yeah, we're going with Brooklyn. Yeah. Yeah. It's one of the BMWs. Who knows? No, it's the Brooklyn Bridge. Happy to have you with us at 7:09 on this Monday evening, December the 8th. This guy standing next to me, Peter Frankel, defense attorney, former prosecutor. He is the legal mind that we need to break down what is happening in the Luigi Mangione case. He's been studying it. We go to you for everything.
Thank you.
And so we're coming to you tonight.
Yeah.
But first, before we dig into your legal analysis, let's cue up Lisa Evers. She's going to take us through what happened in court.
A tense day here at Manhattan Criminal Court as week 2 of this pretrial hearing for Luigi Mangione gets underway. Both prosecutors and the defense team turning up the heat to try to get critical backpack evidence included and excluded. Now, the 27-year-old accused CEO killer, an Ivy League graduate, was back in court again today, sitting at that defense table in this high-stakes pretrial hearing. He was bent over at times, paying close attention to the many minutes of Altoona police body cam video presented by each side to bolster their main contentions. On the prosecution side, that it should be included what was inside: a gun, a silencer, and other things that they feel are key evidence to getting a conviction. On the defense side, they said that there was a lot of problems with both the search and the fact of him not being read his rights on time. On the witness hot seat most of the day, Altoona Police Department officer Christine Wasser, a 19-year veteran who did the controversial bag search. She testified under oath that she thought there might be an explosive device or bomb in the backpack. That's why she searched it, seeming to help prosecutors. But she also admitted that one of her supervisors told her it was okay to search the bag since Mangione was under arrest for a fake ID, while another clearly told her this is serious and they should get a warrant. Luigi Mangione has pleaded not guilty to murder and other charges, which, if he's found guilty here in state court, could keep him behind bars for the rest of his life. In Lower Manhattan, I'm Lisa Evers for Newsroom Live.
All right, Lisa, thanks. Okay, so Lisa just kind of giving us the rundown. Peter, as you know, Luigi Mangione wasn't in court on Friday. We were actually hoping that this whole thing would be wrapped up last week. Boy, do we have another thing coming.
You sure
Because
do.
I feel like this feels like the trial before the trial.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what it is. It's a mini trial. And we're on witness number 7, I think, of 25, 27. So the witnesses are going to start to go more quickly. We've been at basically one witness a day for the past couple of days. I've been in the courtroom a lot watching it. And, you know, both sides are really struggling to kind of fit the facts, the testimony, into their respective narrative to try to convince the judge, either from the government standpoint that there was no impropriety, or from the defense standpoint that, hey, you got to throw some of this evidence out because Mr. Mangione's 4th and 5th Amendment rights were violated.
Do they normally front load the most important witnesses? I feel like at a trial, usually, I mean, you can tell us, but you sketch out a narrative and your witnesses follow the narrative. So it might not be your most important person on day one,
right?
But it has to fit the story that you're trying to have play out. Is it the same way in this suppression hearing, or is it? Are you getting all the good ones first, and then we're going to kind of like peter out as we go?
So the first thing is, this is so atypical of what these pretrial hearings usually look like. You usually have 2-3 witnesses, not 25, 27. And yeah, in a situation like this, the prosecution wants to get their best witnesses out as quickly as possible. You know, there's no jury here, it's up to the judge, so you want to make sure you have the judge's attention. You want to make sure that you have the testimony that the judge needs to hear to make the ultimate decision that he has to make. So yeah, that's really what's going on. That's why it's been so slow, because the morning's basically been the prosecution direct testimony, and the afternoons have been the defense on cross-examination.
Got it. Okay, so as you were saying, this is so incredibly atypical. I mean, you know, it strikes me as interesting as somebody who's not an attorney, and I don't play one on TV, but like it feels like they're really getting a chance, almost like a comic goes to, not that this is in any way funny, but like almost like a comic or an actor or whatever tries their stuff in different places before they reach the main stage. It feels that way, like they're able to see what storylines or what lines of questioning work and don't work.
Yeah, totally, because all of these questions and answers obviously being taken down by a stenographer, and they're going to be used going forward at a trial, not only the state trial, but don't forget, there's going to be a federal trial as well. So these witnesses are testifying under oath. Part of the defense strategy, and part of what the prosecution is doing as well, is trying to lock the witnesses into answers that then that can be used to craft the questioning later on at the trial. So we're seeing a lot of that, but we're really into the crux of the case right here, because last week we had the 2 officers who first had contact with Mr. Mangione at the McDonald's, and today we had this patrolman Wasser, who was the one that went through his backpack at McDonald's and found a lot of the really critical evidence that the prosecution wants to use against him. So it's going to be really interesting to see whether or not the court finds that Officer Wasser was correct in going through the knapsack, or whether there was a violation of his Fourth Amendment rights.
Now, we always say that the NYPD is the gold standard, really, of any police department. I'm sure if you live in another city, you might think that your police, but like really, it seems like globally, the NYPD is upheld as the best of the best. This officer that was on the stand today is from Altoona, Pennsylvania, right?
Correct.
So not to say anything against them or their experience, but one may assume that they don't have the level of experience that you would have if this happened in New York, right? So could it be that they didn't know, or they didn't know what questions to ask or what to say or how to do it, or could this just, I mean,
that's 1,000%. You just nailed it, Teresa. It's, what is Altoona, 40, 50,000 people, and you're talking about police officers who have never come across a situation like this before. This was huge news for them, and aside from the fact that this was a kind of unusual fact pattern, you have someone alleged to have committed a crime 250 miles away, wanted for murder, potentially facing a death penalty, and you need to try to handle this the right way to make sure that you're not violating any of his rights, so that you're not compromising the integrity of the prosecutions. Really difficult under these circumstances. So it's for that reason that the defense is really hammering the officers with respect to every step they made. And I believe there was some missteps along the way.
So the big thing is the backpack, right? And I remember hearing a legal expert say last week there was this theory of like arm's reach, like if you can explain this more, but if something is within arm's reach of you, are the police allowed to search that without a warrant?
Well,
and this may have been a little bit more than arm's reach?
The general rule in New York is that to search a closed container, a backpack, a suitcase, something like that, there's a presumption that you need a warrant to do it. Now, there are exceptions. Some of the exceptions are exigent circumstances, and today there was testimony that the officer searched because she thought there was a bomb, potentially.
Right. So what happens if, like, let's just play that out. What happens if there actually was a bomb in the backpack and they searched it and it didn't detonate, and then you come to do this suppression hearing? Would she have, would that be more acceptable than not because there's a threat of danger?
100%. But you can't just accept her word that she thought that there was a bomb, because during cross-examination, the defense said, well, you thought there may be a bomb. Did you clear the restaurant? You did a partial search. You didn't search the entire bag until you brought it back to the precinct. They didn't search the bag for 20 some odd minutes from the time that they got there. So does this make sense? Are these the things that you would actually do if you thought that there was a bomb? Would you call a bomb squad? Wouldn't you do some of those things? So essentially what the defense is saying is that she's not credible when she says that she thought there was a bomb, and ultimately it's going to be up to the judge to decide whether or not he believes that there were exigent circumstances and the search was conducted because there was a bomb. There are other exceptions as well, to your point. Was this search incident to a lawful arrest? He was being arrested for giving a fake name and having a fake ID. Did that provide them with a legal basis to search the backpack? Another issue that this judge is going to have to decide. Very complicated. You have to put the facts to the law to try to make a determination as to whether or not his rights were violated.
So that takes us to the Fourth Amendment, whether or not his Fourth Amendment rights were violated. I feel like everybody's got to go back to civics class and go, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, now 5, Miranda rights.
Right.
And that was a big thing last week too, right? Because he kept asking for an attorney.
Yeah, that's huge, Teresa, because in New York, the standard is if it's custodial interrogation. Custodial means, are you free to leave? Would a reasonable person, innocent of any crime, believe that they could leave, right? It doesn't mean custodial, you're in handcuffs or you're in a jail cell. And in this particular instance, there were 10, 12 police officers surrounding him. So the defense is making the argument, look, he wasn't in handcuffs, but he was clearly in custody. He wasn't free to leave, right? So you couple that with the fact that he was being questioned repeatedly for a long period of time. 2 + 2 = 4. He was in custody and he was being interrogated. So the defense is saying, look, based on the facts and circumstances, and you have it all on the body-worn camera video of everything that took place at McDonald's, you've got to throw these statements out because it was a violation of his Fifth Amendment rights. He wasn't Mirandized, given his Miranda warnings, until much further along in the process.
So we know that Karen Agnifilo is a top defense attorney, right? So she is doing what she is paid to do. But I do wonder, Mangione is somebody who, from what we understand, comes from means. I don't know if his family is contributing in any way, but we know that he grew up somewhat wealthy. There is a huge GoFundMe or crowdsourcing to help raise money for him. So he's got funds behind him. What is happening in this pretrial suppression hearing, you said it's not typical in terms of length or in terms of breadth, but would any other criminal defendant who maybe didn't have access to someone of Karen's caliber get the same shake at this? I mean, is this one of those things where what happened in the Altoona, Pennsylvania McDonald's and the missteps that may or may not have been made are something that any defense attorney would have picked up on because they're that glaring? Or is this the result of really fine-tuned lawyering?
It's such a great question. Like, you really hit the nail on the head. The short answer is it's the result of top-notch lawyering is really what it is. A lot of lawyers, a lot of clients don't have the resources to put into a defense. If you have a court-appointed lawyer, some of them are excellent, but they also don't always have the resources. So, you know, it's unfortunate, but to your point, when you have essentially unlimited resources, you can do all sorts of things that a normal person who's charged with a crime doesn't get the benefit of doing. And at the end of the day, it makes a huge difference when you get to court.
Yeah, not to put you out of business, but this is why we need the public defenders, right? I mean, this is why you need people who are well trained in order to step up and pay when others can't.
Yeah,
I do
totally.
wonder if this is a case, and then we'll let you go after this because you got to go
That's
eat
fine.
dinner. But I do wonder, though, if this is a case that ultimately, whatever the outcome is, right, whenever this case is done and they move on to the federal case and whatever ends up happening here, if this is a case that's going to be taught in law school because of the issues with the Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights, the chain of custody, and all the different things that have gone on.
Yeah, I mean, this case has everything. It's got, so much to unpack. And what's also unusual about it is that I don't know if you've been down to the courtroom in the courthouse, but Mr. Mangione has an incredible following of people,
it's impressive.
Who are not only contributing to his defense fund, but who are also in the courthouse, in court, outside, every day, supporting him. So, this is one of those sensational cases that, you don't see, every day.
Yeah.
It's got so much going on.
But admittedly, we are seeing them more. Like we saw it with Ghislaine Maxwell. There was a line of people every day to go see that case.
We saw it with Diddy also.
We saw it with Diddy, even Weinstein. We saw it with Danny Matheson. I mean, there have been cases. It seems like this is now the norm, not the norm, but because there's nothing normal about this. But it seems like people, especially with the rise of true crime on TikTok and all of that many more people are willing to take a day, waste a day, do whatever.
Yeah. I mean, not to get too much in the weeds, but you've got people that are supporting him because of their hatred for the healthcare system.
Right.
Meanwhile, if it ends up that he's convicted, I'm not sure that that's the hill that you want to die on, and that's the way that you want to support whatever your grievances are with the healthcare system. So we shall see.
Peter, thank you so much.
It's my
I
pleasure.
appreciate you spending your dinner time with us and
My
all your
pleasure.
legal analysis. This is not going to end anytime soon, so we're going to be calling on
Okay.
you. We're
Sounds
going to
good.
take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. wish you had an IFB because you're our music man. I wish you had an IFB, Kendall Green, because you're our music man. Can we play it over or no?
You got a boom box, you got an 808.
Here, hold on. Hold on. Do you know what song that is? Huh? Maybe?
No, don't put me on the spot.
No. Okay. All right. Well, every time we need, a question about music answered, we usually go to Kendall, but he doesn't have that earpiece in, so he can. Ryan on the board is also our DJ. So we were starting off. We were starting off with some holiday music, but he's dancing, so it has to be good. I mean, I don't know what song it is, but it's a good one.
It's a party around here.
I'm hearing some little. I don't know what instrument that is.
I need your IFB right now.
What is it?
I need your IFB.
Some groove.
Groove. It's a groove.
Okay.
It's a groove. You groove?
Yeah, all the time.
Okay.
All the time.
You know this guy. His name's Kendall Green.
Hey, everybody.
He's my birthday twin.
We share that.
We share a birthday.
Every
Yeah.
year we have our own little birthday celebration. I'll leave something on the desk.
I know. He gives me flowers. Yeah. He's such a great coworker. And at one point, were you here when there were 5 of us here with July 20th birthdays?
I was in the 3 era.
You were in the 3?
Yeah.
I only have ever known one other person to share a birthday. I come to Fox 5, and at one point there were 5 of us. And I'm like, what happened?
They picked good people on
Yeah.
July 20th.
July 20th.
How about that?
What time were you born?
7:20, I think, that evening.
AM or PM?
PM.
PM. Okay. I was
What about
11:15.
you? 11:15?
I was born AM.
Okay.
I was born just in time so that my dad could go golfing with my grandfather.
Okay. And I got an aunt that was kind of mad at me when I was born because I wanted to have the same birthday on the 21st. Well, she wanted me to have the same birthday.
You know,
but
I actually have a story about that. My mom, my grandfather's best friend's wife didn't want me to be born on her birthday. I know. She was the 19th.
who wouldn't want a birthday twin?
I know. So my mom held off, and then I was born the next morning.
Wow. Well,
I know.
Congrats to
Ask and you
Mom.
shall receive.
Congrats to Teresa, birthday twins.
Yes, birthday
Who's
twins.
doing this thing.
So tonight, besides our birthdays, Kendall is digging into the New York governor's race, which is getting hot.
Exactly.
And crowded, frankly.
For sure. It was a party of 2. Now it's a party of 3.
Right. So Governor Hochul is obviously, I believe she's already announced that she's running for re-election, right? So she's on the Democratic side. Now you have Elise Stefanik, Congresswoman Stefanik, there on your right or left, whichever way you're looking at it. And she has announced that she is looking for the Republican nomination for governor, right? So she is challenging Hochul. In the last couple of weeks, these two have been going back and forth.
Of course, because I mean it's for the heart of the state of New York. I mean, I know we have Governor Hochul, who has been, I guess, touting her stance as a Democrat, and Elise Stefanik has been pushing back on every end in this ramp up towards that election. But in comes Bruce Blakeman.
Yeah, so a new name in the ring, and that's Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman.
Of course.
All right, so what's he saying? Where did this come from? I didn't see an ad from him or anything like that today.
No. Our sources, they tell Fox 5 that he's going to announce his bid for election come tomorrow. I think he'll be on a good day tomorrow where he'll announce that he's running for governor. And I think the GOP, they definitely didn't want a primary at all, but here this comes.
Yeah.
And he's challenging Ms. Elise Stefanik for that seat. And so far we know that out of doing some little digging, just last month, the pro-choice Republican, he was reelected for a second term in Nassau County, and where he touted slashing $150 million to the tax hikes proposed by the prior administration.
Because taxes in Long Island are out of control.
I mean, someone that...
And everywhere, right?
Of course. In New York, taxes are a big issue. So he has that on his record. He's also on record funding the county's police force, adding, I think, 200 officers to NCPD, and he championed undoing requirements for students when it requires masks in school. And finally, he pushed to ban transgender athletes from female sports. So that's his record. That's some of the things I've noted about him so far. And I think he's going to go against a more right-leaning Republican. So it's going to be interesting whether his moderation plays a part in this election coming up.
We often say that when these primaries happen, where does the president fit in the mix, right? Because there have been some races across the country when the president has thrown his weight in, it's worked out. Now, there are other times in which we just saw this in New Jersey's governor race where the president backed Jack Ciattarelli and it didn't happen.
Right.
That support did not lend to a victory, so sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I heard the president talking about this today. I guess he was asked at that Farm Bill meeting that he had.
Right.
He's there meeting with farmers to talk about the aid. I was going to call it a bailout package. I don't believe that that's how the way they're classifying it, but the aid package for farmers in the United States. And so he was asked, like, what do you think about Elise? What do you think about Bruce? And my understanding is he was like, I like them both.
Yeah, they're both great. He said that over and over again, kind of cutting off the reporter a couple times. But he was saying they're both great. So, I mean, it's unclear exactly who he's going to get behind. But definitely, I remember Lawler, when he was trying to run for governor as a congressman, he told him to back out of the race. So definitely he has a lot of pull in this particular race. But just who he gets behind, it's going to be a mystery here.
Well, and people might remember, I mean, it was an eternity ago, but people might remember that Elise Stefanik at one point was supposed to be tapped by the president for the UN.
Yeah,
I believe is what it was, right? Yeah, the UN. And then there were some concerns possibly about opening up her seat, leaving it vacant. Then you have a special election. What would that do? Who would fill that? Could it flip to Democrats?
Right, and what would happen to the agenda in response to that?
Right, and so she stayed put, but there has always been some speculation that in staying put, that potentially the gift was the acknowledgement that if you run for governor,
I'll support you.
There will be support. Now, no one has said that, and so that is just the rumor mill that is spiraling, but we'll see what happens. I mean, it's, I always think that when you have primaries, it makes it interesting at least.
100%,
Like,
yeah.
Because if people are engaged and they get involved and they're forced to choose, then people start paying attention to the issues.
Exactly. What's actually in the bag? What are you really promising people? And so far, it seems like Bruce Blakeman, he's going to be relying on his affordability. He's running on affordability,
That's that
which
word
is
again.
and it's no surprise he's running on affordability and safety. So those two issues are front and center. It looks like they're going to be front and center to his campaign. And we know the success has come from affordability. We know Trump, he ran on affordability in a way. We know Mamdani ran on affordability in a way, and that may have something to do with how well they did in that White House interview. So we just saw it in the Jersey City mayor race. We saw it in the New Jersey governor race. Time and time again, the word affordability should have been the 2025 word of the year. for sure.
For
politics at least.
Right. Because people, and actually, I think across the board in politics, because everything is so darn expensive, and people just want someone to come and say, "Hey, we will lower your costs, whatever it is.
Yeah.
We'll lower it."
And another question about this is the moderation. Like, how moderate was he going to be able to win over moderate voters, like those undecided folks in the middle? It seemed like he comes across as a more moderate Republican. He's a pro-choice Republican as well. So I don't know if that's going to...
I think it depends on if people are happy with Hochul. If moderate Republicans are not, if moderate Democrats are not happy with the governor, then they potentially might choose a more centrist Republican.
And it seems like he's posing himself as that centrist Republican to step up to the plate. But it's already, Stefanik's camp has already come out swinging. We have a statement from her saying Stefanik's team, basically that statement is Bruce failed statewide electoral record speaks for itself. He has lost every statewide primary in general over the last 3 decades in smashing fashion. And after a career of colluding with elected Democrats, Blakeman's swan song is choosing to prop up Kathy Hochul. They sent that statement early today. So
tell us how you really feel.
You know what I'm saying? So it's going to get pretty nasty over the next couple of weeks, I'm sure, when he starts putting those ads out there. So
yeah,
we'll see
it
what
always
happens.
does. Kendall, thank you.
Of course,
Much appreciated.
Of course, twin. Anytime.
You got a 10 o'clock hit that you got to file. You got
Absolutely.
dinner you got to eat. You got stuff you got to do. Songs you have to sing.
This is a fun party too. You know what I'm saying? I'm enjoying it.
It is fun. Oh, and the music is back. What song is this? Rock.
And I don't hear it.
We went from groove to rock.
Well, we rocking me out of here.
Yeah,
Let's
we're
do
rocking
it.
you. We're back right after this. on this Monday. You know, I almost said Friday.
Wishful thinking.
I mean, where is my brain? 7:36 on this decidedly Monday evening.
Your brain is the same place mine is.
Yeah.
Always thinking about the weekend.
Yeah. Right, that's good. We live in for the weekend.
We do.
Doesn't help though when it's a Monday and you're like, man, you got a couple more days to get through. Nick Gregory here now to talk to
Hello.
us about the forecast. Man, you said it was going to get cold, and just as you said, you delivered.
You have been warned. So, yeah, we were talking about it, right, that it came in. And this is a similar day to Friday, right? So, Friday, kind of the reverse happened. We started out, like at 19, 20 degrees in the city and, 0 in some of the suburbs. And then by 10 o'clock at night, it got up to like 32. We're doing the reverse. So at midnight, it was 38 degrees. Now we're at 25 or 26. We're going downhill all day long.
Progressively worse, I
You're
think is
right.
what.
And you can see why. This wind's coming down out of the north. At least it's not as strong as it was earlier, Teresa, when it was gusting to 30, but we still have wind chills. Look at that, it's 4 is what it feels like in Monticello. And it feels like low to mid-teens around the city and moving out across coastal areas, Long Island, whatever. So, we're not going to have a lot of wind tonight. The wind will go calm, so it'll just be a cold night. We do have some clouds out there, mid to high clouds, but those are going to go away as the night goes along, which will...
Kitchener? There's a Kitchener?
Kitchener?
See that up there?
Oh, Kitchener in Canada.
What is that?
That's in Canada. Kitchener.
Kitchener.
Yes.
Looks like.
I'm glad you caught that. Yes.
I was like, is that Kitchener? Kitchener.
Yes, we'll have to have a geography lesson.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say it was Michigan.
You can see that. That would have been a big mistake. So you see the clouds, the snow that's to the south, that's not coming our way. But the snow by Minneapolis, well, that system is coming our way. That's going to be arriving here on Wednesday. So we may have this little snow mix right at the start, mid-Wednesday morning.
Okay.
It's eventually going to go to all rain. It's going to stay still a little longer in the northern suburbs, so that could lead to, maybe an inch or 2 or 3. We're talking the Poconos to the Catskills region. Here's a future cast. We're going to start with sunshine tomorrow, and then the clouds kind of win out. Clouds stick around tomorrow night. Now here's Wednesday. See what I mean? Snow to
all
rain.
the colors.
And then it just goes all to rain as time goes along. But
The
notice
pink is what?
the pink is like a mix.
The mix,
Mix of
got it.
snow, rain, or a little sleet. And you can see, though, by the left side of the screen there, snow comes back over western New York, western Pennsylvania, because the cold air is going to return. So while we might get into the 40s on Wednesday, it's not going to last. Look at tonight, 0 to 4 to 7 in the northern western suburbs, about 19 in Midtown, mid to high teens along the coast.
Jeez.
And then tomorrow, a little better than today. A little sun gives way to clouds, but our average high should be about 46, 45. 46. We're only going to get to about 35 tomorrow in the city, and it'll stay in the upper 20s to low 30s north and west of town. So
Belmar looks pretty good, though.
38, that's a heat wave for
I
the
mean,
area.
really,
So
honestly, Belmar is always a good idea, but especially when it's the
we'll
warmest
take
on
what
the
we
mountain.
can get. But the thing is, as I was saying, the cold air is going to come back again. So while we might get into the 40s, as you're going to see here in the 7-day, on Wednesday, that's going to bring in the rain, snow to rain.
It's like a bouncing ball. up and
Exactly.
down.
Look at Thursday, windy about 41, and then only
Yeah.
upper 30s Friday and Saturday, and we have a shot at a couple of inches of snow maybe Sunday morning. We'll have to keep an eye on that one, and notice the temperatures stay by then into the low 30s.
So it's going to be accumulating snow on Sunday.
Potentially Sunday, yes. And tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but Wednesday over the farther northern and western suburbs.
Was it honestly, the days don't matter anymore, but was it Saturday morning that I woke up and there was snow everywhere?
Yes.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, wait,
Yes.
oh, okay. And then by the time, I got everybody out of the house, it was basically gone.
Well, it was like the snow freezing drizzle
Yeah.
mix, right?
But it
that,
looked pretty when you opened the curtain. You're like, oh,
It did.
Yeah,
It did. But
well,
then it warmed up and the things kind of melted by the afternoon.
And remind me, we are in the midst of, in the in-between of meteorological winter.
Correct.
And what's it,
Astronomical.
astronomical
Very
winter?
good. She pays attention. I
honestly,
love it.
I know, it's so
So
Oh,
you
ACES test.
You passed the quiz.
The 20th?
I have to look at the exact date because I don't remember actually offhand. But yes, around the 20th,
We'll say the
21st.
20th.
Meteorological winter began on December the 1st, just so we clarify that.
Why can't
So-
they get those two things? Why can't we just say winter starts on December 1st?
Well, because winter does really start. That's why we say meteorological winter. The astronomical has to do with the placement of the sun. Right, so as the sun travels north-south all year long. So on the astronomical winter, the sun is directly over 23.5 degrees south latitude, south of the equator. So if you're standing in
at
South
the equator,
America at 23.5 degrees latitude, the sun would be directly overhead.
So you go to a school and you're talking to kindergartners about the weather, and they say, Mr. Gregory, when's winter starting?
Oh, I just give them the easy answer. Because
December
I don't want to
20th, or you
confuse
say
them.
December 1st?
No, I'll say December 20th because that's everybody in their
Got
mind
it.
thinks, oh, it's it's
The meteorological
yes,
winter.
Correct.
Got it.
Right.
All right, well, I'm
and
going
what
with the
and
20th.
what do we call the astronomical winter?
Cold.
No, there's a term for it.
Wait. Oh, yeah, winter solstice. Of course,
Winter solstice.
Winter solstice, right? Yeah.
Very good.
Makes sense.
I'm impressed. Somewhat.
I'm a quick study.
Very
Thank
good.
you, Nikki. I appreciate
Sure.
it. See you in a little bit.
Okay.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back after this. Going to the disco, huh? We started Newsroom Live with Groove. Then we moved on, Christmas. Then we moved on to rock. Now we've made it back to disco. Good evening, everybody. 7:44 on this Monday, December the 8th. Thanks for hanging with us. We appreciate it. We had a lot going on in the 7 o'clock hour. And we are rounding out the 7 o'clock hour by talking about something that is likely happening in your kid's school. It's happening in your office. It's happening everywhere. And that is rising flu cases, especially in the tri-state area. 'Tis the season to get a respiratory virus of some kind. According to the New York State Department of Health, there has been a sharp and early surge in respiratory illnesses, especially the flu. They're saying that hospitalizations are up something like 20 to 30%. And so now is the time, if there ever was one, to talk about what you can do to prevent or at least lessen your exposure to the flu and what happens when you get it, how to get over it quicker if there is even such a way. So let's bring in Dr. Steve Goldberg. He is a doctor of family medicine. Do you mind if I call you Dr. Steve? Dr. Steven, what do you prefer to go by, sir? Dr.
Either of them are great. Dr. G is also good.
Dr. G, I like that. All right, that's much more casual. Well, thank you for hanging with us tonight on Newsroom Live. We really do appreciate it.
But
So we're talking about the flu and respiratory viruses. I feel like everywhere I turn, somebody is saying, last week my kid had the flu, or this week my kid has the flu. I can't go to that holiday party because my spouse has the flu. They're on the rise, clearly, right?
you're absolutely right. They are on the rise. In New York, positive flu tests are double in the past couple of weeks. ER visit for flu in New York is double the past couple of weeks. So we're in a real rise now of flu season. And so if people feel ill with fever, cough, sore throat, body aches, headaches, and sometimes stomach stuff like diarrhea, they really ought to go get evaluated.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk through some of the ways that you know that you have the flu versus everything else. I mean, I'm a mom of 3 young kids, and I feel like it's always, spin the wheel. Is it RSV, COVID, flu, or just your everyday virus? It seems like you never really quite tell because they're all starting to mimic each other.
You're absolutely right. It can be hard. So if you can go to a clinician's office, oftentimes they'll have tests there that they can answer the question very easily. Is it flu A? Is it flu B? Is it RSV? Is it COVID? Answer it very quickly and help set you up for the right treatment. Sometimes if those tests are negative, they can do a swab and send it out and get the result the next morning. So getting that information is really important for a couple reasons. One is there is treatment for flu that's appropriate for many people. And then also, if you have it, you really should stay isolated, potentially from other family members, definitely from work, definitely from school.
The telltale sign of the flu always used to be the aches and pains. The soreness, the muscles that hurt, your joints hurt. Is that still the case, especially with the flu strain, the most dominant flu strain that we're seeing this year?
Yeah, absolutely. And aren't those symptoms awful?
Yeah.
But I would say the one clear symptom is the high fever. That really is a differentiator of flu versus other types of viral illnesses at this time of year.
Okay, so my understanding is that, you have flu A, flu B, and that this year the dominant strain, or the worst of them, is the A.
Bingo, you're absolutely right. And the name of the flu that is dominating this year is something called subclade K. So you'll be hearing that term a little bit. But here's the important thing. The folks that prepare the flu vaccine do the best job they can. During the summer, they see what's circulating, pick the 3 worst ones, and that's how they build the flu vaccine. Then they get into the season, and what happens is there's changes in the flu bug. They kind of block the key that can protect us from them. And so that's what's happening a little bit this year. Now, that said, getting the flu vaccine is really, really helpful, even with the emergence of a rare bug. And it helps energize your system. It gets your antibodies fired up. It gets your memory cells fired up and helps protect you from the most serious things that can happen with flu, such as hospitalization or even losing your life.
Yeah, when you look at the numbers, they're saying that influenza lab-confirmed cases are up 80% statewide. Hospitalizations are up 93%, but all respiratory viruses have a 29% increase in emergency room visits. So those are some pretty hefty numbers.
Those are some pretty hefty numbers. It looks like this is going to be a very difficult flu season. But again, the key thing to do is if you have the symptoms, get evaluated. If you have the flu, discuss getting the treatment. Once you get the plan in place, stay isolated from school or work. That's really the most important thing you can do. And even though there's an odd type this year, the flu vaccine still helps. And as I said, gets those antibodies fired up, memory cells fired up. And if you get exposed with having gotten the flu vaccine, you're much less likely to get hospitalized and you're less likely to die. And that's all positive.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what matters at the end of the day. If you get the flu, if you're confirmed flu positive, do you run out and take Tamiflu? I've heard, and I'm not a physician, of course, but I've heard people say that they've had negative side effects when taking Tamiflu. And I always thought that was just there's the fine print on the back of the box, but you never often hear about that becoming, dominant or prevalent. But sometimes I feel like with Tamiflu, that is the case. Everybody I know that takes it says, oh, I had these crazy hallucinations, or it made me feel really some kind of way and really weird.
Well, with any medication, there's risks and benefits. And that medication in particular is helpful for certain types of people to make it less likely they get hospitalized and less likely they die. So if you're elderly, if you are a very young child, if you're a pregnant mom, if you have asthma, if you have diabetes, if you have heart disease, if you have lung disease, those are common profiles where you should talk with your clinician about taking Tamiflu. Those are the right people who should be talking about it.
And what about I'm not going to say it properly, exfluenza? Zoflenza. Isn't there another one also besides Tamiflu that seems to agree with people a little bit?
Yeah, there are a couple different agents that are available, and again, talking with your clinician would be the right approach to decide which one would work for you, for sure.
Okay, so I'm a mom of a 6-month-old, a 4-year-old, and a 7.5-year-old. So for me, the 7.5-year-old and the 4-year-old bring home the virus du jour. I mean, doesn't matter what it is. If it's circulating around their friend's class, I'm getting it. Or at least someone in my house is getting it. But with the flu, especially since there's a lot of people who have younger babies at home, what do you do to keep them safe? We don't want to stay home all winter. You know, we don't want to keep ourselves insulated at home and not go out and do all these holiday things, but you do also want to make sure that baby is protected. So how can families protect their kids, especially those that might be on the younger side?
Yeah, I'm so glad you're asking that question. Believe it, the number one best thing individuals and family can do is wash their hands. And that is number one. There are other things too. Certainly cover your mouth when coughing, eating appropriately, so minimizing alcohol, etc. And exercising has often been shown to help boost your immune system and make you less likely to get ill. Those are all good things individuals, parents, and young children can do to help stay well.
Well, as a mom of 2 boys, the washing the hands thing is my challenge. That is my uphill battle. That's my uphill battle. I'm more likely to get them dialed in on diet and eating, you know, immunity boosting foods, if there is science behind that, rather than getting them to wash their hands for a full 20 seconds or however long it's supposed to be.
I hear you. You do the best you can, right? But those are the things to help keep people well.
All right. And by the way, are there any sort of foods or anything like that you as a doctor, when families come in, say, hey, if you load up on orange juice or clementines, or make sure your kids are, I don't know, eating ginger, I don't know. But do you ever give those suggestions, and do any of them even anecdotally work?
Well, the list is long of things that might be helpful. If you'd say, Dr. G, what 2 might be helpful? One is vitamin C during illness season, and also potentially zinc tablets might help shorten the course of a viral illness. Those are 2 that I would have you think about. Oh, my favorite, chicken soup. That's also very good. And there's a range of things around it, including the humidification and other that helps get people well. So those are the top 3 I'd give you tonight.
Lastly, I heard that using saline spray, I mean, I use it for myself and my kids, but I heard that using saline spray actually has proven to shorten the duration of a cold. Does it work with the flu as well, or is that just something that you can use for your everyday cold?
Yeah, I think irrigating your nose so that you can breathe better is probably a good idea. But I told you about the ones that I've most recently thought about: vitamin C, zinc, chicken soup. Those are ones that there's some good evidence for.
All right, Dr. G, where can people find you if they want to come see you?
Louisville, Kentucky is where I practice primary care and urgent care. I also serve as chief medical officer for Health Track RX. We do infectious disease testing nationally throughout the United States. So our team is very, very busy. We pick up tests all over the United States between 4 and 6, send them to our main lab, result them out the next day. And we're helping clinicians get the diagnosis right and treatment right. So that's how I'm spending my time these days. Oh, and washing my hands often too.
A full 20 seconds, a whole happy birthday, or whatever it's supposed to be. Are you tracking the spikes around the country in terms of flu and RSV and other viruses? Are you seeing where the hotbeds are?
Absolutely. We see them with our own data. CDC says that positive test number are now 7%. So things are rising. Once you get around 2 to 3%, you're starting on the up curve. So we're clearly on the up curve by all measures that we're looking at.
And when does that curve start to fall off? When are we down the downswing?
Yeah, March, April. It's
a long way
and
away.
We'll see what happens. My hope is that people do things to protect themselves. If they become ill and have risks, discuss treatment with their clinician. If they're ill, stay home from school and work. Wash the hands, cover the mouth, and the few meds that we talked about that might help you get better faster.
All right, Dr. G, thank you. We appreciate it. Have a wonderful evening.
You bet. Thanks so much.
All right. And we will be right back here on Newsroom Live. Stay with us. We're coming right back right after. .59 on this Monday, December the 8th. Thanks for joining us here on Newsroom Live. Everybody wave hello. Hello. We have Jonah and Brian Kay helping me out on the boards, running around making sure everything works. Brian is also our DJ, 2 hats 1 time, although none of our songs have words, but that's okay. What kind of music was that? What did that say? Jazz? Funk. We've already played disco, we have played jazz, we have played holiday, we have another one in there, groove. Now we have funk. We're going to tell you a little bit of a story that's making headlines today, and that has to do with the nursing shortage that's going on around the nation. If you're a nurse or if you've been to a hospital recently, you don't need me to tell you about this because you've experienced it firsthand, but this is a big problem in the United States. And now the Trump administration is changing it or reclassifying nursing as a degree. It used to be classified as a professional degree. Now it is being classified as a non-professional degree. Now you might say to me, Teresa, what do I care? Why does that matter to me? How does this affect me? Well, it affects those who want to go into this profession because it affects how much money they can borrow in loans in order to be able to complete their degrees. So we've got some video to show you, then we're going to play you some sound. Before this major change, graduate level nursing used to be considered a professional degree, along with like dentistry, optometry, fields like that. Now the Trump administration is changing this, and in doing so, they are lowering the borrowing limit to $20,500 a year. That actually sounds like a lot of money when you think about a 4-year degree, because it averages out to be close to $100 grand. But would you believe me if I told you that there are a lot of degrees, including nursing degrees that are with masters, that are far exceed $100,000. And so this won't cover it. And so there are critics who worry that in doing this, in declassifying it essentially as a professional degree, people are not going to want to go and get their nursing degree with a master's, or maybe not become nurses at all. And then what are we going to do, because we're already dealing with a nursing shortage? The change was passed as part of that one big, beautiful bill. And the Department of Education is saying the goal here is to create, quote, clarity and consistency in loan categories. We have some sound from Senator Blumenthal of Connecticut, who joined public health officials today to criticize this cap. And this is what he had to say. Take a quick listen.
And this administration ought to get its act together and recognize you as professionals. Nurses are professionals. They are professionals who deserve to be educated without the burden of student loans. But if there are going to be loans, they need to be fair. And we ought to recognize as a country that we can't provide good health care if we don't have enough nurses. And right now, we're on a very bad trajectory. And this big, blatant betrayal is making that trajectory even worse.
So as it currently stands, this is due to take effect on January the 1st, but there are a number of professional organizations who are challenging this change in rule and also lobbying the Trump administration to please revert back to this being considered a professional degree. Again, the Trump administration has said clearly this is not a judgment on your value. This, as they called it, was an administrative adjustment. They're not saying that they personally or politically don't value nurses, dentists, others, optometrists, simply that they feel as if there should be a difference in classification. And they're hoping that by doing this, it will force these programs, which in their words are charging an arm and a leg, to lower their cost of these programs and make them more manageable for more people. The thinking there is that if you can't borrow as much, you can't pay as much. And so if they drop the price, that to make it match what the cap is on lending, that perhaps it ultimately makes it more affordable in the end. Some other big headlines that we are following on this Monday evening. Of course, what's happening in the Luigi Mangione case. I mean, this is very, very big news. Back in court today, they had a day off on Friday because Mangione was sick. We don't know sick with what, but sick. But they're back in that pre-trial evidence suppression hearing. A couple of key things that occurred today. By the way, this picture with him holding his fist, I've seen this all over social media. People are wondering what in the world was he doing. And in court today, the commentary was that he was apparently gesturing to his attorney, Karen Agnifilo. So it wasn't him giving a fist bump to supporters. It was some sort of conversation between him and counsel there. But a couple of big things that happened today. So there was a lot of testimony on his arrest and the searching of his backpack. They are trying to figure out if Altoona, Pennsylvania police were justified in searching that backpack. You're going to remember that backpack had everything in it. Supposed manifesto, the alleged 3D printed gun, all kinds of things. And so the prosecution in this state's case, wants that evidence to be included in trial. You might also imagine that Luigi Mangione and his team do not. They're saying that he was illegally searched and that he was also questioned without being Mirandized. And so they are claiming that his Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights were violated in this McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. And so there was the big testimony today was from a police officer with the Altoona PD. And there was a lot of back and forth about whether or not the officer asked the right questions and knew protocol and what to do and how to do it, and whether or not he was under arrest or not under arrest, but there were so many officers around him. Lisa Evers was actually in court today, and so she's going to give us a full wrap of what occurred. Take a quick listen. We'll give it 1 minute, and then we'll pop that up. Here's Lisa.
A tense day here at Manhattan Criminal Court as week 2 of this pretrial hearing for Luigi Mangione gets underway. Both prosecutors and the defense team turning up the heat to try to get critical backpack evidence included and excluded. Now, the 27-year-old accused CEO killer, an Ivy League graduate, was back in court again today, sitting at that defense table in this high-stakes pretrial hearing. He was bent over at times, paying close attention to the many minutes of Altoona police body cam video presented by each side to bolster their main contentions. On the prosecution side, that it should be included what was inside: a gun, a silencer, and other things that they feel are key evidence to getting a conviction. On the defense side, they said that there was a lot of problems with both the search and the fact of him not being read his rights on time. On the witness hot seat most of the day, Altoona Police Department officer Christine Wasser, a 19-year veteran who did the controversial bag search. She testified under oath that she thought there might be an explosive device or bomb in the backpack. That's why she searched it, seeming to help prosecutors. But she also admitted that one of her supervisors told her it was okay to search the bag since Mangione was under arrest for a fake ID, while another clearly told her this is serious and they should get a warrant. Luigi Mangione has pleaded not guilty to murder and other charges, which, if he's found guilty here in state court, could keep him behind bars for the rest of his life. In Lower Manhattan, I'm Lisa Evers for Newsroom Live.
All right, Lise, thanks. So that case will continue tomorrow. Again, they're in the pre-trial evidence suppression phase of this. Highly unusual. This normally does not go for multiple days or weeks, but this is a high-profile case. Everybody's watching, and so we will see what happens. The other big story tonight happens to be the cold. Nick Gregory is going to be coming up a little later talking to us about the forecast, but people were out and about getting their exercise, running around Central Park today. This is in Flatbush Ave in Queens. It was bitterly cold. I mean, you know it's cold when even the dogs are wearing clothes. That's how you know. Big dogs, too. But no, she's happy as can be. Look at that little girl with the little pom-pom on her head. We are in the midst of a significant cold snap here in the tri-state. And with it, as Nick was telling us a little earlier, and he'll be back to tell us again in a little bit, you know, usually it's cold and warms up and gets cold again. Right now, it seems like it's the exact opposite. It's, you know, it's really warm overnight, getting cold in the day, and then warming up again overnight. We are hoping for some relief in the near future, but it looks like before we get any sort of relief, we're going to end up getting snow. So we'll let him let that all play out. But yeah, I mean, there's no way to avoid it besides staying home, and who's going to do that? So we just have to grin and bear it, unfortunately. Another big story that we're following today is an arrest in the shooting of Chris Boyd, Jets player Chris Boyd. So this is a story of a lot of interest for a lot of people, and now we have a person of interest in custody. He was shot and seriously injured in Midtown last month. We're told a 20-year-old man has surrendered to authorities in Buffalo. He is expected to be brought back to New York to face charges in the coming days. But still, that's a story that has a lot of people talking. They were wondering what preceded this shooting and what the relationship is potentially between the two men, or was it just completely random? Other stories that are making headlines today: Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani has put to bed finally that where he and his wife, his new bride, are going to live. And the word on the street is that he is moving to the Upper East Side. He will be taking up residence in Gracie Mansion. He had initially said that he was probably going to stay in his rent-stabilized unit in Astoria, and that drew a lot of criticism from a lot of people who said, hey, you're running for mayor, you became mayor, now you should live where the mayor lives, not in Astoria. And there was some talk that he was just going to stay in the place where he is most comfortable. But he had something today to the effect of, due to security and the fact that he, you know, this job is very important and he wants to put New Yorkers first, he's going to go where it is easiest, which happens to be Gracie Mansion. And so he is going to join us here on the Upper East Side, not here exactly, about 20 blocks away, on the Upper East Side, where he is going to be living once he is sworn in on January the 1st. And lastly, before we take a quick break, this is a story that had all of us giggling here today. If you had to guess what is the most stressed city in the world, Brian, what would you say?
New York.
Okay, Brian, you read the story. Cool. Yeah, you are right. As a matter of fact, you are right. Is that because you come into the city every single day? Do these people look stressed? Actually, no, he doesn't look stressed. No, the other one did. They look stressed. Yes, well, it is in fact true if you believe the folks at Remitly. Good news and bad news, though. Good news is you're not alone in feeling stressed because everybody's stressed with you. Bad news is we are stressed, and a new study has officially declared us to be the most stressful city in the world. They evaluated 170 major cities based on 5 metrics: cost of living, commuting congestion, crime, pollution, and access to health care. And New York landed at the top of the list with a stress score of 7.56 out of 10, to the shock of no one who actually lives here. The most stress-inducing aspect, do you know, Brian, what the most stress-inducing aspect of New York City is for residents?
Traffic.
Good answer, wrong one for this, but great answer. Cost of living. In the words of, what was his name? The rent is too damn high? The rent is too damn high. What was his name? Anybody remember? No. Oh, we're going to get that answer in a minute. What was his name? Oh, Jimmy McMillan. Right. Jimmy McMillan. Yes, the rent is too damn high. Well, that's what they found. They're also saying that finances aren't the only pressure. It also talks about, as Brian said, commute times and also public safety. So there you go. Have that lull you to sleep tonight. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back right after this here on Newsroom Live with Chief Meteorologist Nick Gregory, who's going to tell you everything you need to know about the cold. Pretty tonight. One World Trade.
Yes.
Looking a little foggy out there, Nick.
No, that's the light on the building sort of reflecting on the top of the camera.
Oh,
yes.
Pollution.
Because you
light
can
pollution.
see this view shows it's not light.
Yeah, and actually I was going to say, because we have all these monitors up here,
Yeah,
that looks so super clear.
Yeah, it's just the light at the top of the building there that reflects on the camera and makes it look
I think someone needs to wash the lens. That's somebody's job.
That could be. I'm not volunteering. That's way up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that I'm afraid of heights, because I fly airplanes.
I know.
There's a difference.
But hanging out off of the building is a little different.
Versus being in an airplane.
Every time I see those window washers, I think to myself, My goodness.
On top of that
God
scaffolding.
bless him.
I get nervous enough when I do my Christmas lights.
I know, I know. I don't even do the Christmas lights. I'm like, let me know if you need help. I'm down here. A cold snap. That's what we're working with. Speaking of
We
Christmas,
are.
'tis the season.
It is.
But I feel like this is just so typical for this time of year.
Well,
right?
we're running, it's a little colder than average, right? So, our average high should be about 46 or so, and the average low should be about 32. And so we're way off the mark. Look at tonight. We're down to 19 in the city, high teens at the coast as well. Inland, 7, 4, Sussex up there to Poughkeepsie, 0 for Monticello. And the sky's going to mainly clear. The wind's going to lighten up. That's why it's going to get pretty cold tonight. All the heat of the day sort of escapes out into space. Tomorrow, again, look at the highs. Only low 30s to mid 30s at best. Maybe a little higher at the coast there by Belmar and on Long Island. Morning sun will give way to clouds tomorrow, but that's still, again, below average. We've been in a below average streak now ever since we really entered December.
I don't like being below average.
That's true. I don't think many people do.
No.
I was reminded that when I was in school. But see, now we do get to 45 on Wednesday. Now, we have snow and rain in the forecast to start, and it's just going to go over to rain.
Got it.
May stay snow a little bit longer, the farther northern suburbs. It's not a big storm. Colder, windy Wednesday, 41. Then we're in the 30s Friday and Saturday. Now, Sunday morning, another storm comes by. That could leave a couple of inches of snow, even in the city.
Like accumulating snow.
Accumulating snow. There's a potential for that Sunday morning. I mean, it's early in the game here, but if you saw the temperatures then, they're only in the low 30s. They're just, so it's going to stay cold. And look at it. We're 15 to 20 degrees colder now than we were last night at this time.
Well, look at Newark, 16 degrees off.
Yeah. So it's been a big temperature drop, and this is the pattern. It's going to continue. I think December is going to stay this way. Getting on our weather extremes program.
Yes, I was going to say.
We
crystal
talked
ball.
about that.
Yeah.
That winter was going to come on harsh in December, and that's really proven true, and likely to last into the early part of January, maybe the first to second week.
And
of
remind me,
January,
why do we know that it's going to come in harsh? What
a couple of
happening?
things. So a couple of things. We're in the La Nina pattern. So that's the.
I always think about that from the perspective of the winds out west.
Yes. So La Nina exists because of the sea surface temperatures at the equatorial latitudes of the Pacific Ocean. That's the formal definition. So when they're when they're a little bit below average, which they are now, a little cooler than average. So what that does is it affects the jet stream. So there's two jet streams, right? There's the southern jet stream, what we call the subtropical jet stream, and then there's the northern
one
jet
that
stream.
goes like this.
Yeah. Very good. I'm gonna copy that.
Like this and like this.
We call that the polar jet stream.
Okay.
So what happens is when La Nina exists, the cooler than average water temperatures allows the northern jet stream to be stronger.
Okay.
So what that does then, it drives the storm track from like the Pacific Northwest, you get these clipper systems, we call them, because they start up in Alberta, Canada, and they move quickly down, which is what we've been seeing in our pattern here the last couple of days. Here comes one right now.
Yeah.
See? So that's one factor. The La Nina then that tends to potentially produce. Actually, a La Nina weather can go either way. If it's a weak to moderate La Nina, you can sort of have slightly below average temperatures or slightly above average temperatures. Usually, lead to slightly above average temperatures. But the other factor, as I ramble on here, is the polar vortex that we talk about, right?
Now we get into the cool stuff.
Now we talk about the polar vortex. So the polar vortex usually operates in two phases.
Okay.
The one phase is called the positive phase.
That sounds like a good place to start.
Well, but what it does is the air just rotates around the North Pole.
Oh, okay.
So the cold air never makes it down here, just stays up there. But of course it builds. Then what happens is if the polar vortex weakens, then it starts fracturing. It goes off in little pieces. So instead of being this racetrack, you get these waves. It dips in the atmosphere.
And that's what comes down to us.
That's when the Arctic air and that dip down, the Arctic air comes right down.
I remember seeing your maps where it literally...
Exactly. So that's what we had on Friday. We have a weakened polar vortex.
Fantastic explanation. I didn't realize that it was all connected and it was just the swirling that broke away.
Exactly. So that's and there's a couple of other things which, if we had an hour or two, we could probably.
Well, we
talk
actually,
about.
as a matter of fact, do have an hour.
I guess
or
we
two,
do,
Nick.
right? But we want to keep the viewers, right?
Yeah, right.
Because I could go off on a dissertation that you don't want to know about. But the point is that those are really the two main factors that we're looking at this year. So in November, when I made our winter forecast, that's really what I was looking at, and so. The guidance was suggesting to me when I was looking at sort of these long-range patterns was that the polar vortex was going to get fractured or weakened. La Nina was going to be in play, which meant to me that December was going to come on harsh. And that's really has been the case. And that the polar vortex is likely going to stay in this weekend pattern now for the next couple of weeks.
And so if you have a strong December, strong in terms of all these other factors colliding, does that signal to you that we're going to have a shorter winter that
Not
like kind of like
necessarily.
in like a lion out like a lamb
Yeah,
sort of thing?
not necessarily. It's hard to make that connection. The pattern usually doesn't last forever. So, which is why I'm thinking by the time we get into January, the polar vortex is probably going to retreat again. So we'll be back into a more of a La Nina, little milder than average pattern that will set up, and then we'll probably see another return to this similar pattern by the time we get to the middle of February.
Is there a mirroring effect that occurs in the summer? If we have a really, really cold winter, are we expected to have a really, really hot summer?
Not necessarily, because you could go from a La Nina to a La Nada, as I call it, when there's nothing going. It's neutral.
La Nada?
Yeah,
That's a good one.
It's neutral, right?
You should coin that.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's my expression, the
All
La
right.
Nada. Or then we could switch to an El Nino pattern,
Right,
which is
got
where
it.
the sea surface temperatures go above average, and now we have, that's when, like, we were in El Nino. Well, we were in La Nada over the summer. A La Nina pattern can be bad for hurricane season because you can get more hurricanes because the northern jet stream is stronger. In an El Nino pattern, the southern jet stream is stronger, so that acts to sort of cut off tropical development.
I'm so sorry that you have to explain this all the time to people like me who
No,
just want to know.
but I
am
enjoy it.
looking at a
It's-
good hair day or a bad hair day?
Well, see, because
one layer or two.
Because my hair doesn't matter anymore, so I enjoy talking
From
about
the
these
front
things.
it
'cause I
does, it's
can't-
fine.
Yes, well, you only see the front. Well, actually, we have a camera
Yeah,
behind
I
me.
know.
You can see the
there's-
back.
yeah,
but
right.
it's,
One more thing before we let you
There
go,
it
and
is,
then
see?
we will let you
There's
go.
the
Yeah,
back.
no,
That's
it's
my
looking
better
good.
side.
It's looking good. One more thing before I let you go, because the holidays are coming up. I'm not going to ask you if you're done with all of your shopping and all that sort of stuff, but you're a dad to 3 girls?
Correct. And now I have a son-in-law.
And a son-in-law. What is your favorite holiday tradition that you do with your family?
So it's the Christmas morning, right? It's we get up, and the girls will still, if they'll come over the house. 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning.
And see what Santa brought.
It's our middle daughter, Valia, who will wake everybody up, as she did when she was young.
That's a middle child thing.
That's the middle child
As a middle
thing.
child, I can say that.
And then we'll, gather in the living room. I'll light the fireplace. We'll put on some Christmas music.
Who makes the
We
coffee?
get the coffee. That would be my wife, Athena. She'll make the
Yeah,
coffee.
yeah.
Valia's a good coffee maker too, so she might do it. But and then we,
Just have a lazy morning.
open presents, exchange presents, and
Who's the best gift giver?
that's a really good question. So Valia, the middle daughter, she's very creative. They're all good. I mean, they're all Athena's. That's my wife. She does.
He doesn't want to be
shopping.
the one not getting any gifts this year.
So, you got that
Yeah,
message. Right?
yeah.
But I'm also a notorious last-minute shopper.
Yeah, me too.
So my tradition is Christmas Eve morning,
Yeah.
9 o'clock. I'm out the door. I go to the mall. By 1, I am done.
Listen, I am with you, and it's
That's
because
it.
we are hampered by the profession that we chose.
Yes.
Most people, I would imagine, in this room are procrastinators like us. And so if it wasn't for the last minute, nothing would get done.
But
But
you
it's
know-
why we're so good at doing things at the last
But
minute.
you know what I find when I do that on the Christmas Eve morning, when I get to the mall at that time?
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
No, I know,
It's
everybody's
not that
home,
crowded.
I know.
And I can go store to store
That's
to store
the
to store to
hack.
store to store.
Yeah.
And it's like,
That is
Done.
the hack. And by that point, you have no time to hem and haw over a gift. You get it, you make a decision, and we move on.
right. Exactly.
Thank you.
And then I drive my wife crazy because I'll call her from every store. What do you think about this?
yeah, do you like
What
this
about
one?
Do
Yeah.
you think she's going to like that?
Yeah.
How about this one?
Yeah.
Then I got to send the pictures. The
But
text
now you can
pictures.
just use AI to just compare the two for you.
It's not quite
You
as
know,
fun.
I know it's not. No, the harassment level isn't there, which is
Exactly.
really then it's not marriage. So there you go.
Exactly.
All
You
right.
know.
Thanks, Nikki. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. We got some. This is holiday music. Sounds like it's ripped right from Frosty the Snowman, but I don't know what song it is because we didn't pay for the words. We only have the.
And I'm not plugged in, so I
No.
can't even hear it.
We're back right after this. Thank you, Nikki. interrupted. 8:27 on this Monday, December the 8th. You might be wondering, why are we looking at Strawberry Fields? Why are we looking at a picture of John Lennon? The reason being is because December 8th marks 45 years since he was shot and killed in New York City outside of his apartment building, the Dakota, on the Upper West Side. You know the story. Lennon was 40 years old, killed by Mark David Chapman, who confessed to the crime at the scene and later told a parole board that he was seeking fame. He is currently trying to get out of jail. He's been trying and failing. We have a full Fox 5 flashback on the death of John Lennon. Take a listen.
One of the last things John Lennon must have seen was the overweight fan who had been pestering him for days. The last time he'd been clutching a pen, he was out for an autograph. But this time he was holding a gun, and within a few moments he had taken John Lennon's life. He fired 3 shots, striking Lennon in the front of the body. The former Beatle tried to run, but was cut down by 2 more bullets as his wife stood by screaming.
When we pulled up on the scene, there was an arrest had already been made. Somebody was in custody, and my concern was to get whoever was wounded to the hospital.
It appeared he wouldn't wait for the ambulance.
No, there was a bed when he was bleeding very heavily, so we picked him up and put him in a radio car. And another radio car had pulled up on the scene, and they removed him to the hospital. And we took his wife to the hospital.
Did you know who he was?
Not at that time, no.
A stretcher was wheeled in, 6 to 8 police officers around it, trotting, running it back as fast as they could indoors. They wheeled it inside to the room right behind me. The doctor ran in, some other medical people ran in, they pulled the curtain. One police officer stood next to another police officer and whispered, "It's John Lennon." At about 20, quarter to 12, I heard a woman's voice. "Oh no, 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 oh no." It went on for about a minute, minute and a half. It was constantly repeated. No other words that I was able to make out. I asked the police officer, "Who is that?" And he said it was Yoko Ono.
WNEW-FM, you're on the air. Hello.
How could somebody like John Lennon be killed? What kind of a country is this? I remember saying this before. I remember saying this when John Kennedy was shot. I remember saying this when Martin Luther King was shot. I remember saying this when Bobby Kennedy was shot.
Radio stations around the nation were flooded with calls, people who just wanted to talk about John Lennon. The word shot through the city nearly as fast as the bullets that had prompted the news. And while it's almost certain that John Lennon had died even before he reached Roosevelt Hospital's emergency room, his fans, most of them just curious, but many of them visibly distraught, came in a continuous flow.
I will stay until the sunrise at the foot of this hospital and pray for his soul. Any of you who would show your love for him, please stay with me as long as you would like and pray. I'm praying the rosary.
Lennon's fans, some of whose lives had been touched by his vitality in life, were coming to grips with his sudden death, his violent death. Some of the same people who had stood in the cold to buy concert tickets stood in the chill last night to watch his body being taken to the morgue. And from news reports, they would learn of a suspect whose motive was still a mystery.
77 WABC, New York's radio station.
Mr. Chapman came up behind him and called to him, "Mr. Lennon," as he arrived at that doorway. And then in a combat stance, he emptied the Charter Arms .38 caliber gun that he had with him and shot John Lennon.
Police say the alleged gunman had met John Lennon once before that same day to have a record autographed in front of the Dakota. Why did you come here to the scene tonight?
Well, I heard the news a while ago, found it to be very shocking, and I just wanted to come, sort of pay my respects in this manner.
WFM, you're on the air.
Isn't it ironic that on a night of immense love throughout the city of New York, on the first night of real holiday spirit, when the lights on the Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center would be turned on, John Lennon would lose his life.
Mark David Chapman, an unemployed 25-year-old security guard who bought a handgun 6 weeks ago in Hawaii, was taken from the 20th precinct at 6:30 this morning. On his way downtown, in the green unmarked car, he would pass West 72nd Street. But few, if any, on that block would notice the young man with the glasses in the back seat of the car, who is, tonight, an accused murderer. They remained in the dawn, instead contemplating the loss of an ordinary man who meant something great to most of them. John Miller, Channel 5 News.
It's really incredible. I love those Fox 5 flashbacks because you are reminded of so many intricate details of the moment in history. In this case, I didn't realize. Brian, did you know this? That John Lennon's murder happened on the same day as the Rockefeller tree lighting ceremony? I had never. 4. I was not 4 when that happened. No, but and to hear John Miller, and see John Miller, was really, really interesting. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. On this Monday, December the 8th. You are hanging with us here in Newsroom Live. A beautiful shot of Washington, D.C. just there. Everybody wave hello. We got Brian on the board playing our music for us. We don't know what music. This is what? We're going to groove, funk, rock. It's stock music, but it's great to listen to. Kind of carries us in and out. I'm your host for tonight, Teresa Priol. Thank you for being with us. Are you following what's happening with Warner Brothers, Discovery, Netflix, and now Paramount entered the chat today? Yeah, okay, well, if you're not, let me get you up to speed. And if you are, hang tight, because we're going to be chatting about this one. Paramount Skydance is launching a hostile bid to buy Warner Brothers Discovery after it lost out to Netflix in a month-long bidding war to garner its legacy assets. Paramount has decided to go straight to the WBD shareholders with an all-cash $30 per share offer. That's the same bid that Warner Brothers rejected just last week. Now, the offer has a lot of private equity money behind it. According to reports, significant financing from the Ellison family, private equity from Redbird Capital, $54 billion in debt commitments from Bank of America, Citi, Apollo Global Management. It also has some money coming from Jared Kushner's affinity partners. Of course, Kushner is President Trump's son-in-law. And so there are a lot of intricacies to this story that are really making people ask a lot of very interesting questions, not to mention the greater implication of having these major corporations come together and what that means for the market share. So let's bring in Vikrant Mathur. He is the co-founder of Future Today. Thanks for being with us tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Teresa, for having me. Great
So
to be here.
first, tell us a little bit about your company, and then we're going to kind of dig into what is happening on the media landscape.
Yeah, absolutely. So Future Today is a streaming platform. We run and operate streaming services. One is called Fossum, which is movies and entertainment for adults and families. And the other is called Happy Kids, which is for kids and families.
And where can people find you and find your services?
Yeah, the services are available on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, on Samsung TVs, LG TVs, pretty much any streaming device or platform that you can access Netflix or any of the other major streaming services through.
Awesome. So when we talk about Paramount and Warner Brothers and Netflix all coming together, I don't need to explain it to you because you're probably already deeply entrenched in this based on what you do as a day job.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've been living and breathing the industry for about 20 years now. Launched our first streaming service way back in 2010. I think we were the fourth or the fifth app on the Roku platform. So
wow.
Very familiar with it.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what's happening. So I just kind of gave like the Reader's Digest. I don't even know if people say this anymore, but the Reader's Digest version of what's going on. But let's dig into a little bit. When you hear that there is an attempt at a hostile takeover by Paramount to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, what does that signal to you?
It just signals the state of the affairs in the traditional media industry, right? We're really going through a tremendous phase of change. The models that used to sort of sustain the economy in the media industry, they're fundamentally changing. And so what it signals to me is that Paramount really is desperate to bundle up and merge with other streaming services that would give it enough scale and enough reach to be sustainable and to be able to grow and thrive.
So am I hearing you right? Do you kind of feel like this move by Paramount is a last resort?
I wouldn't say it's last resort, but I think what's happening is that, in an industry where the underlying fundamentals have changed, scale and reach has become really, really important. And so that's what Paramount, and I think the industry in general over the last 3 to 5 years has been signaling that, whether it be the Warner Brothers and Discovery merger or whether it be, the Skydance acquisition, what's happening is that these companies need to really bulk up to be able to sustain themselves. And so that's really what we're seeing with Paramount.
But it used to be that competition in the market was a good thing, that the more people competing for eyeballs was a good thing. Now,
yes,
there seems to be a lot of concern that you have something of a behemoth like Paramount, and then you've got Warner Brothers and their catalog, and then you have Netflix. These are three major corporations coming together. I mean, maybe not together in terms of one company, but vying all for the same assets and catalog.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I agree with you. I think consolidation is great in an industry that's very, very fragmented, right? It helps. But I think what we are seeing, and this is where, if you look at the last 24 to 36 hours of media coverage and what we've heard, whether it be from people in the government or in the industry, everybody's raised concerns, at least with respect to the Netflix acquisition of Warner Brothers, not specifically Paramount. But I think what's really happening is that you have an industry where you have 5 to 7 major players, right? So it's not quite as fragmented as you would think. And as these players consolidate, it causes a lot of issues around, again, market share, competitive pricing and for the consumers, what these services now end up costing, for the Hollywood and the content industry, right? How the content gets produced, how it gets distribution. The theatrical market is a big market that relies on a lot of these theatrical releases. And so there's been questions around what happens to it after Netflix acquires it. Would they still continue to have the same sort of theatrical distribution for these releases, or will Netflix now start to get, the first look on all of these titles? So there's a lot of questions just from an industry perspective that are raising a lot of eyebrows, especially with the Netflix and Warner Brother merger. But I think for you and I and for the audience here, I think the biggest question from a consumer's perspective is, I feel like it's a little bit of a coming back to the future moment, right? Where 10 years ago, if I wanted to watch The White Lotus, I had to first get a subscription to basic cable, and then I could add HBO on top of it. Now I may have to get a subscription to Netflix first, and then I may be able to add HBO on top of it, right? And so with the sort of merger, what's happening is that we're sort of going back to the past and, essentially going back to that era of more bundles, more cost, less choice for the consumer, which really was the premise for streaming in the first place.
I saw a meme today, and honestly, it's playing out pretty truthfully. It said, we're just 2 streaming mergers away from a brand new concept, cable. And I thought, that actually seems pretty spot on, right? I mean, that's where we're headed. Looking at the numbers from your perspective, which is actually the better deal? Because Brian, my control operator here, Brian, we were talking about it, and if I'm not mistaken, Brian, you were saying it's the Netflix deal that was worth more?
No, the other
the Paramount deal initially was worth more than what Netflix ultimately decided, that with the accepted deal that Netflix had. So by the numbers, the Paramount deal worked better, but Netflix got the bid. So from your perspective, what is actually a more favorable deal?
Yeah, so if you step back, it's a little bit of apples to oranges comparison at this point in time, because what Netflix is acquiring is just the studio and the streaming business. So Netflix is not acquiring the legacy linear television cable channel business, right? So CNN, as an example, is not part of this transaction as far as Netflix is concerned. Paramount, on the other hand, is bidding for the entire company. So Paramount is bidding not just for the studio and the streaming business, but it's also bidding for the linear TV business. And so if you look at the numbers, I think it's a $27.50, roughly speaking, bid that Netflix has put out. It's a $30 bid that Paramount has put out. The question to answer is, what do the investors value the cable legacy business at, right? And I think Netflix's argument is that the cable and legacy television business will be valued at a lot more than the $2.25 roughly that Paramount is paying a premium. And Paramount is saying that that's not true. Paramount is not valuing the linear legacy business at any more than $1 perhaps, right? According to the documents that they've put out. So if the investors move forward with the Netflix transaction, then what's going to happen is that the streaming and the studio business will go to Netflix. They will have to fork out the cable business, and then they will have to sell it to another buyer. And so the question for them is, can they get over the $2.25 premium that Paramount is offering right now? And that's where Paramount is saying that that's a chance that the investors will have to take if they move forward with the Netflix transaction. They're saying, work with us. We're giving you, a bird in hand is better than two in bush. Right. And so, please reconsider our bid.
Vikram Mathur, thank you so much for joining us tonight and for your perspective. This was fascinating. I wonder how it's all going to shake out ultimately.
Thank you for having me.
Have a great evening. Thank you so much.
You too.
All right, we are going to take a quick break. We will be back right after this. You are here in Newsroom Live. 8:48 coming up on 8:49 on this Monday, December the 8th. You're hanging with us here in Newsroom Live. A gorgeous shot right there of the 6th Ave Fox Square Christmas tree. We've got a bunch of beautiful things actually happening today. The White House is all lit up. We have the Fox Christmas tree, dancing and dazzling. City shining bright today. I mean, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the cold, but everything just looks so pretty. Everybody wave hello. Even Arthur's waving hello. We're going to get to Arthur in just a minute. Thanks for being with us. We do appreciate it. Man, we are 2 hours in. It has been a busy evening. We have gone through all your headlines. We have talked about the rise in flu cases. We have talked about the Luigi Mangione case. We just got through dissecting the Paramount hostile takeover of Warner Brothers. And now we're going to talk about our favorite social channel, which, well, maybe for some of us, which happens to be Instagram. There, as I understand it, there are some new changes that have come to Instagram, which some people are not so happy about. They're using more AI tools. They are boosting more creator features. They're also trying to improve some teen safety as well. And they're improving all of their different functions. They are also trying to turn around some new features related to reposts, location sharing, and it's allowing users to share public reels and posts, track friends' locations, discover new content. They're just basically trying to make it easier for us to be able to use their service. I mean, that makes sense. If they want people on the service, they might as well make it easier to use. But some are not finding it so user-friendly, and some aren't liking it at all. Let's bring in Arthur Chien. He looks like he's in a club right now with all the different lights in the news van. Hey, Arthur, where are you? What part of the city?
All right. Well, we've been in the Village talking to people about this change, but it's certainly something that affects people everywhere. Everybody that we approached tonight knew exactly what the change was and had an opinion of it, negative opinion of it, because they say that they're ending up reposting things when they don't intend to.
All right, so tell us a little bit about what's happening. So you fire up Instagram, and then what happens?
Basically, it's Instagram trying to become like TikTok. TikTok has surged in popularity in this country. It obviously has not been here as long as Instagram has, but it's surged in popularity in part because of the way information is shared on there. It's very creator friendly. People are selling things directly from their TikTok accounts, and they're communicating much more on the DM level than users on Instagram are communicating. So this is really Instagram, the TikTokification of Instagram. And they added in August a new feature that's a repost button, which is where our fingers hover over as we're looking at content. And a lot of people are ending up accidentally reposting things that they don't mean to be reposting. And the word that some users use with us is embarrassing. They say they're doom scrolling at night and not realizing that they're hitting this button. And meanwhile, all the people that they're connected to on Instagram are seeing them posting these things and thinking it's important. And for that reason, the people we talk to, those who are critical of this, say it's bad because it doesn't give people an opportunity to weigh something before passing it along, which is a crucial part of information share. But a tech expert, as people will see in our 10 o'clock newscast tonight, he says this is not going to change because even accidental activity is activity on Instagram's platform. And that their parent company Meta and their creator Mark Zuckerberg is not going to want that change. So this is the way it's going to be.
Yeah, I've done it by accident. I mean, because when you look here, let me see if I can fire up my Instagram and I'll show people what Arthur's talking about. When you are scrolling, let me just try to find, let's see, hold on. When you're scrolling, there is this button that is, here, this is a New York Post article. When you are scrolling, there is that button there that looks like arrow up, arrow down. And it's right next to the share button, which is an arrow pointing out. and it's right next to the comment button. And so there have been times where I'm scrolling, and as I'm sure you do too, you scroll with your thumb, Arthur, and then as you're scrolling with your thumb, you end up hitting the repost button, and it's only if you hear or feel the click that you realize, oh, wait, I didn't mean to do it. I did it. I didn't mean to do it. I'm sorry. And I have to undo it, and you have to remember to undo it. But you're right. If you're like one eye open in bed doom scrolling and you don't catch it, there's no way you would know.
Right. You end up reposting all that stuff. This is the feature we might add that does not look like it's going to go away. They're fine with people making this mistake, because even as you're mistakenly doom scrolling at night, as we were just discussing, you're still reposting things. And that's ultimately the game. The game here isn't user friendliness. The game here is how well, this is what our expert tells us, how well the platform serves advertisers and marketing. And since this mistaken activity is still activity, they're totally fine with it, is what we're being told.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody, I have the scrolling habits of a teenage girl, and as somebody who uses all of the apps, all of the social media channels, it's interesting because TikTok, I feel like, is much more user friendly. And if you are a creator, which I don't intend to be, but I guess if you're putting anything on these apps, they essentially see you as creators. TikTok also pushes out your stuff more organically, it seems, and so you have the ability to reach more just by normal interface with the app. But with Instagram, it takes a lot more in order to make your content reach the people that you want to reach. And so I can understand how, from Instagram's perspective, usage is usage no matter what. But, you said that people that you're talking to in the village are really upset about this. Did you find anybody that said they were happy about this, or was everybody pretty much on the negative here?
We did not find Mark Zuckerberg in the village tonight, or any of the executives from Meta or Instagram. It seems like on a user level, look, you and I both know change is hard for people. Even when it's a change for the positive, it can be difficult for people. But in this case, the criticism really centers around the ability for somebody to think about something before they repost it. One user told us that just today, as a matter of fact, she reposted something that's from 2018. And she said it was embarrassing, to use her word, because it was not something that she intended to repost. And also, maybe it was something that she felt that she was looking at in private. So that even though a hilarious exercise is sometimes to go into the search function and sees what it is that Instagram and via Mark Zuckerberg thinks you want to look at and what's going to keep you on the platform, right? And while everybody may, individuals might have guilty pleasures in terms of what they look at online and are being fed through the algorithms that are so sharp when it comes to these social media platforms. But we might not want people to know that that's what we're looking at. We might want them to think we're all looking up really, intelligent, thought-provoking things, and not like snakes biting people in the butt or something like that. I don't know, whatever it is. But that's what's being passed on when people accidentally scrape that repost button.
Yeah, I mean, for those who have nothing better to do, you want to just go down the rabbit hole, go on Reddit, and the Instagram rabbit hole, takes you right down to the bottom of that rabbit hole. There's so much. I mean, yeah, because people are saying, they feel like it's no longer a place for sharing and making connection. It's really only a place just for entertainment, good for memes, good for comedy reposts, or things that have already gone viral on TikTok. And that's sort of an uphill battle, to your point, that Instagram is going to need to have to figure out, right? Is that they were the leading market, the leading app in the market, right? Everybody was looking to Instagram to do, and that's how TikTok came about. But now, if you're like the out-of-date aunt or the older uncool brother or sister, and now TikTok is where everybody wants to be, these are all things that have already gone viral on Instagram, already gone viral on TikTok that you're now reposting on Instagram. They got to figure that out. They have to figure out, how, in fact, to get themselves back in the forefront of people's minds.
Right. And if you look at some of the analysis so far on this, they're not figuring it out, right? They're mimicking another platform. And when you're chasing what another platform does, what is the chance that you beat them at it, right? If you're chasing, you're coming from behind. So there's some questions about what their strategy really leads to in the future if it isn't about people sharing their own thing anymore and it's just about selling stuff. That might not be a good sign for them, and that's not even getting into all the AI fakes and what that does to the trustworthiness of a platform.
All right, Arthur, we're going to leave it there. Say thanks to Andy Chase for us. I see him in the back. Hey, Andy.
Hi.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate it. Stay warm out there. We'll see you at 10. We'll check you in at 10.
All right, terrific. Bye.
All right, everybody. And that about does it for us here. Can you believe that we have done 2 hours, guys? Woo! Cue the music. We did it. Now we got to get ready for 10. We thank you for hanging with us. We hope you learned something. I hope you had a little bit of a laugh, whether it was with Arthur or Brian's music choices or Nick or me or anybody, whatever. We appreciate your time. Thanks for hanging with us. The 10 o'clock news will be on in just a little bit. In 1 hour's time, you can watch that not only on air, Channel 5, but also on the Fox local app, and we're streaming that as well. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks for watching Fox 5's Newsroom Live. We're now joining Live Now's non-stop stream of live and breaking news.
Says 3 million Americans every day are traveling and doing this and engaging in sedentary activities or lack of activities. What we know very clearly is that when we are sedentary, this is bad for us as humans. Even 1 single hour of sitting in inactivity can create vascular dysfunction within our bodies. 2 to 3 hours of sitting, not moving at all, can increase inflammatory markers in the human body. We know that less than half of all Americans get a recommended amount of activity, and that 70+% of Americans are obese and overweight. Between being overweight, metabolic dysfunction, and the level to which we are sedentary and inactive as Americans, these are directly linked to the things that kill us most as Americans, to cardiovascular disease, to diabetes, to obesity, and yet a lot of this could be made better. As someone that travels a lot for my own work, I know this firsthand. I'm in airports traveling to podcasts or make videos to share information with people across the country, and it's hard for me to be the weird guy in the corner doing air squats or doing a handstand. Everybody, it's not really encouraged in airports to do that kind of stuff. So I love Secretary Duffy's intention to make airports more understanding, but I also am super excited about the possibility of getting mini gyms, little airport workout spaces for humans. We know, according to a 2025 study, that over $190 billion of healthcare spend is directly attributable to inactivity in Americans. That's a staggering number. What if we could create small spaces for humans in airports, for Americans in airports, to get mini workouts? You don't have to get super sweaty, but what if we could put pull-up bars and dip bars and parallettes for push-ups or for L-sits? If we could put boxes for step-ups, maybe put some treadmills for people who want to walk near their gate. We can put some bars for stretching. We can put yoga mats and maybe some rolling pins for people to move their muscles. Anything to get people moving, maybe some exercise bikes. These would be a massive step in the right direction, and it's such a huge thing that we could do for Americans. Whenever I talk to people about this, they're super excited. Anyone I've talked to about the idea has just been, they smile, they get excited. Oh, a mini gym in an airport? That's great. I would use that for sure. I think if we could pair this with healthier food options, unprocessed foods, unprocessed meat, unprocessed plant foods, we could really help all of these millions of Americans every day that are traveling. So I want to commend Secretary Duffy and Secretary Kennedy for spearheading this effort. I mean, $1 billion of grants to help airports improve the quality of health for travelers every day, including mini gyms for all of us to move. This is incredible. We've got a pull-up bar set up behind us here, so I'm definitely going to get some pull-ups in with Secretary Duffy and Secretary Kennedy after this. But that's what that's there to signify, guys. The beginning of movement spaces for humans in airports. Hopefully we'll start with DCA and Dulles, but I'm excited to be a part of this. I'm grateful to be a part of this. I'm humbled that a piece of content that I did could have been seen by Secretary Duffy, and that we could be a part of bringing this actual valuable resource to Americans throughout the country now. So I'm super grateful to be a part of implementing this and amplifying this message. And again, I want to commend Secretary Duffy and Secretary Kennedy for spearheading this effort. I think this is amazing. Modern life is not set up for us to be healthy as humans, but let's keep making small steps in that direction so that we can all become healthier, and then that directly leads to us being happier, more gracious, and more caring with everyone around us. So I'm super excited to be a part of this effort. Thank you both for this opportunity. Thank you, guys.
So I hear my wife talk a lot about, again, she